Hello everybody, this is Mike Hamilton from Trade the Easy Way, and I'm just going to walk through the markets, talk about what I'm seeing, and then we can talk about stocks you may or may not be in or you're watching. Kicking off with the dollar. So this band here is the range from the 15th of May, which is when the new Fed chair was installed. So you can see ever since the 15th of May, here we are on the 26th, we are still within that range. So whichever way we bust out of this is potentially the next direction for the dollar index. If I pull back, you can see that that if we break above this recent high, then that will be a breakout out of this funnel pattern, or at least this channel. So at the moment, relatively strong dollar, which is putting a drag on the gold. So if the gold's got a funnel pattern marked out on this gold, if the gold breaks this low, 44.50, I can see it's coming all the way back down to 4,000 again. And if we close above 47, that seems to be a major barrier, we'll get to 5,000 bucks pretty quickly, I think. I've got US inflation this week. So let's look at the indices. Let's look at the NASDAQ. So we had a pullback on the 19th of May into support from the 7th of May, and here we are at, we've just made new May highs. We made new all-time highs today, in fact. We just come in contact with that 30,000. So pullbacks are still being bought. What would change my mind? What would change everything on this channel? What would change is if we broke underneath that trend line and closed underneath, basically rejected this 30,000. So if we break up and hold 30,000, then we are going to continue to 31.32. Close underneath 30,000 and certainly under the 29.5, then the probability of that coming back a lot harder is high. So still no reason to sell these markets. The pullbacks are still getting bought. Let's go into some stocks. Before we do anything, just look at one more commodity. There's the oil bouncing off of we went under 89, and here we are at 93. So this is the pullbacks in the oil are still getting bought. So if this oil explodes higher, that, particularly if we get a strong dollar as well, which is possible. Normally it's divergent relationship with the dollar, of course. Weak dollar means strong oil. But if we get the oil back above 95, then we're going to see 100, 105 pretty quick, and we could potentially go all the way back up to those highs. For this to roll over, we need to reject this 95, close under 90, and then we'll start to see this fall back and potentially even fill that gap at 67. What I think is going to happen, we're holding the bottom of this channel, so I'm expecting oil to continue higher. Excuse me. Back up to 95 and back through 100. But it is in the balance all the time. We are under that 50-day average for a start. Volatility index is low. So the markets are still holding up well. Right, let's shoot through some stocks. IQE, really frustrated this. I was actually talking to somebody at when that was at 30, and blinked, forgot to go back and buy it, and here we are. We've just touched 55 today. So now any touch of 45 is a potential buy to see if we can get back to 73. If it runs, we could go into a pound if we continue to pick up from here. but IQE is a good one. Just watch out for what I'm trying to do is capture these ratio pullbacks. Let's have a look at EasyJet, because that is staging something of a recovery. So for this, so we've got a gap now at 367. That's now buyable. If we close the gap and hold, then we're going to see 390 plus and potentially really start to clamber back. Yeah, so we've broken out of that little pattern, retest the pattern, close the gap at 365, and then we should see that if all works out well, we should go back above £4 and then climb all the way back to £5 plus. If you pinch back, we were down here in October 23 and we went up to 575. There is a gap up there at 585. Possible it's going to close, we'll see. Well, it likely to close at some stage. It's a question of how many weeks and months that might take to do. Okay, so let's look at stocks we've talked about. CTEC. I entered this at 198 on Friday with £2 and a penny. For this to really start to pan out, I need to see higher volume. I want to see that volume go back to at least 9,000 up there. All the time we stay down here, I will be concerned. But if we hold £2, it's still buyable 198 where I got in. Stop underneath 190, and let's see if again pinch back. If this is a goer, we should go and find 233 and more if we can really get some momentum and some volume in that one at CTEC. Shawbrook Bank. I'm slightly underwater on this, believe it or not. I was in it before we tested 290. I got in at 2. In fact, that pink line is my entry point, 28318. Based on this volume move up here on the 6th, 7th of May. So if we can get back above 320 and hold, see an increase in volume, then this one could start to move back to £4 plus. A couple of cheapies I'm in. Tech Capital, not doing it, underwater on this one. Keep seeing little perks in volume, but it's not good enough to drag that up. As long as we don't close under 5.8, that's still got potential to go, but that's why I don't load up on these cheapies. I trade with stock that I can with money. Well, I always trade with money that I can afford to lose, but I trade with smaller volumes, smaller position sizes. Metal One doubled in value quickly on the 15th. So if we come into 1.4 and hold, we should go back to 2.8 and 3 plus on Metals One. And TEP, we talked about that last week. I'm not in this, but I know one or two of you are. It's all right. It's got a lot to do. We've got to get above the 11 minimum for this to work, because if we can't break up above this pattern here, then we are toast. Potential bear flag if that starts to break these lows, and particularly under a pound. Sorry, under 10. And moving on, what have we got? Let's go to my other list. Let me just concentrate on stuff that interests me. Let's follow on from the bank. Excuse me 1 minute. Right, let's have, what I was going to find is Barclays. So we were all the way down there at 410, 408, 410. That's now 450. Any pullback to 435 I think is buyable, to see if that can clamber back to £5 plus. If that gets to run, that should go to 550. Lloyd's is the same pattern. Talked about that at 94.95 last week. That's over £1 now, so that's buyable on any dip. Like this one, Wise. I think actually that volume is not great. I think this is worth a punt if you can get in at something like £9.29 or £9.20 with a stop underneath these lows at £9. Let's just, so we had a decent bar there on the 23rd of March, broke up to 11 quid. Now we're back down under 9.50, so I think this is a goer, but just manage to trade as you normally do. SSP Group, that's having a nice move, so 165 now is a pullback buy on that. And Legal and General, a bit off to the races already. That's too high. BT is sitting on a lot of support now. I don't think that'll come back to £2, but if it does, that is definitely a buy. So we dropped off on the volumes, on the earnings, from 240 down to 220. But if we continue to hold this 218, I can see that pushing back through that 240 and beyond, going back to 250 plus. I would try and hold out for a move into, see if it dips underneath that 220 for a buy, but then get your stop out of trouble. I think Aviva is worth a go at 620. Keep your stop underneath £6. See if that can get back to 7. See if that can break through 7. And other. The other one we looked at not that long ago is Diageo. Well, I'm in Diageo. So we've come off of this 1358. We've had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move into resistance. We didn't quite get up to that 17. Pulling back, so the volumes are just pretty slack. We need to see volumes up here, not down here. So I think that's going to come back further. Could easily see a move back to 1475 or maybe just 15. At which case, if that holds, then I can see that pulling back up and going back to 1920. But just bear in mind at the moment, that one looks like that wants a deeper pullback on Diageo, DGE. In the US, I like Netflix here at 87.50. I like, so flicking back to the UK, I mean this Camel at 148, only 6p up on that. It has been up to the 163 mark. Volumes are good today, so I'm hoping to see that higher. But in the US, over Nordisk, I would like to buy at 41.70. I'll keep an eye on that one. Now Service, I want a deeper pullback on this one to 95. Microsoft is dipping. That looks like that wants to come back into 40. Currently 41.40. And what else have we got? Amazon. Okay, Amazon looks like that might want to come back to 24. That's recently been up to 20, nearly 28. So that is really struggling up there. It's a lower high. So I would expect to see a deeper pullback in Amazon, at which point I would get interested. I would absolutely love to see that go down to 23.5. Let's see if it can do it. Workday was on my watch list. I'm going to keep away from that at the moment a little bit longer. I want to see if that can hold this level here. Mara. No, that's sitting up too far. That is not pulling back. AMD is off to the races. Right, I'll leave it there. So not a lot to go on at the moment, just a few in my watch list. Keeping very close eye on the oil and the gold to see if gold's going to hold 4,500 as it touched it today, and keep an eye on the indices, which have been not that happy today. And the Nasdaq has, but the Dow has not. That little pin bar was the sun. Oh, it was the Monday open. It was bank holiday in the US as well, so looks we're at least going to come in and see 50,200, I think, possibly a little bit lower. We're currently 50,400. All right, so with the Nasdaq still sitting up, bank stocks holding, I am still okay with the markets. Airlines like EasyJet seem to be trying to reverse. So overall, markets are good. We're heading into the main part. We're getting close to the holiday season, so I'm just cautious on that level. All right, hope that helps. Talk to you soon. Bye.